Hi everyone, this is Catherine and I am presenting my technique demonstration today. I'm going to be presenting on tapping, which many of you may have heard of, may have not. I honestly came across this about 6 months ago when someone suggested it to me, and I kind of rolled my eyes and was like, okay, whatever. And then kind of came across it a few other times, and I thought that this assignment to look at a non-traditional therapy was a good way to explore it some more and learn more, and I think I'm converted. So I'm going to share some more about it with you guys. So tapping is a technique that is used, and I'll actually be talking about a specific tapping called emotional freedom techniques, and it's you can kind of compare it to acupuncture. And I feel like many people are familiar with acupuncture, where needles are used to kind of tap into like the energy systems of the body, and certain points are used to address certain things. So in this tapping technique, we will use meridian points, which are points throughout the energy systems of the body that are connected to the main organs. So there will be 8 points that we use today, and we will tap on those. And kind of the idea is to kind of release the sensation or the feelings, emotions, symptoms, things that are stuck. And so tapping can be used to kind of bring back homeostasis to the body after a trauma or feelings that aren't good. So EFT tapping addresses, addresses emotions, symptoms, events, and limiting beliefs. So a symptom might be a headache, an emotion might be anger, an event might be like a trauma, car accident, or even like it can be simple, like your boss sending an email that you didn't like. And then limiting beliefs are things like, oh, I'm not good enough, or I'm a bad person, things like that. And so EFT can be really simple, and you can just focus on simple things like, I have a headache and I want to release that. And it can also go deeper into like those limiting beliefs or traumatic events. And so when starting with EFT, they recommend just to start simple and just start with those simple things like headaches. But it can slowly become more, and so it can kind of be like peeling back the onion. And so the headache, you might realize that there's some tension going on there because you're stressed at work because of X, Y, and Z. And so if you were uncovering that when you're tapping, then you will start with the headache, and then after the first round, you kind of reassess and you realize, oh, but I'm feeling this way. Then you might tap on the feelings, and then so on and so forth. So you kind of repeat the process as many times as you need to. Sometimes it's once, sometimes it's more times. And so it's kind of a self-directed activity where you just reassess each time. And so I will walk you through it now. So the first thing that we're going to do is you're going to choose your most pressing issue, or your MPI. And we're going to create like a reminder phrase. So I'm going to say that my most pressing issue is I'm stressed. Like I don't feel like I have enough time to get everything done. And work, life, internship, things like that. I think we can probably all relate. And so my most pressing issue will be stress and a sense of feeling overwhelmed. And so I'm going to kind of like think about that and assess that, and I'm going to rate it. So I'm going to give it a rating between 0 and 10, 0 low, 10 high. I'm going to say my stress and sense of overwhelming is at an 8 right now. And then you're going to create a setup statement. So the setup statement is it's always the same, but basically in the beginning, so I'm going to say, even though I'm stressed and overwhelmed, I deeply and completely accept myself. So you kind of fill in the blank in the beginning, but it's always going to have that other phrase of, I deeply and completely accept myself. So I'll repeat it again. Even though I'm stressed and overwhelmed, I deeply and completely accept myself. All right, and then we're going to kind of begin the tapping actually at this point, the exciting. So the first thing, I'll do it slowly. I'll kind of walk you through the steps, and then I'll do it so you can see it in a complete. So the first thing we'll do is you take your hand and this little like fatty part of your hand here, and we're going to, this is called the karate chop tap. And so you're going to tap this kind of several times. Sorry, I'm trying to find my camera here. Tap it, and while you're tapping it, you're going to say your setup statement. So my setup statement was, even though I'm stressed and overwhelmed, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I'm stressed and overwhelmed, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I'm stressed and overwhelmed, I deeply and completely accept myself. And now we're going to use the reminder phrase, and we're going to tap through the 8 points of the meridians. So let me get my list so I make sure I tap my correct points. Like I said, there are 8 points that we will tap through. We're going to do the eyebrow, so like right in here. The side eye, so if you're doing that, you're going to just kind of follow your bone over and do the side eye. Under the eye, really you're just kind of following that bone that is there. Under the nose, the chin, so like you want to find like that crease in your chin, your collarbone, and this one's kind of like a good one to do with your whole hand. Under the arm, so if you, it's like down here, so I'm kind of doing it with the pinky side of my hand, and then the top of your head. Okay, so I'm going to do it all the way through, and then after that, then we'll take a deep breath, and then we'll rate how we feel. So if you remember, I rated my stress at the beginning at an 8, and then I'll take a deep breath, and then I'll kind of reassess and go from there. Okay, so here we go. All right, so even though I'm stressed and overwhelmed, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I'm stressed and overwhelmed, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I'm stressed and overwhelmed, I deeply and completely accept myself. I have a sense of being overwhelmed right now. I'm really stressed right now. I'm overwhelmed and stressed right now. I'm feeling stressed and overwhelmed right now. I'm stressed and overwhelmed right now. I'm feeling stressed and overwhelmed right now. I'm feeling stressed and overwhelmed right now. I'm feeling stressed and overwhelmed right now. All right, and so after that deep breath, I'm going to reassess, and I'm going to rate it probably more close to like a 4 or 5 right now. And so at that point, I can make the decision to repeat that and go through the process again. Ideally, we want to get that rate down to like a 2 or a 3, ideally a 0, but I think 2 or 3 would be acceptable. And so what this does, and you can kind of read about it in the paper that I've included and in the instructions, is that we're tapping and we're bringing those meridian points and we're bringing us back to the present. So bringing us back to the present, and then also what this can do is it can send the cortisol, which stops the fight or flight response that we often have when we're facing a trauma or a stress or things like that. And so that's how this can be used in treating trauma, in that when we have a trauma that maybe we are alarmed by loud noises often, then we can address it in that. And then the tapping brings us back to the present and then tells our body that it can release the cortisol, and then know that that event happened in the past and that we can move on and continue just as is. And our body can go back to those levels of homeostasis. So anyway, so I'm looking forward to your feedback. I hope you learned something new from this. I certainly did, and I hope you can tap away in the future. All right, enjoy. Thank you.